Welcome back to Plain Jane Cars, everybody. I'm glad you clicked on this video. I actually did a poll on my Instagram and I asked, what videos would people like to see? I've seen a lot of videos about modifications, especially to the M4 or any F8X. For you guys that don't really know what that means, the F80 and the F82 and the F83 are the current generation M3 and M4. A lot of people see the mods done in my car and they ask me like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? I get a lot of DMs on Instagram at different meets and car shows. And I just wanted to show my 5 favorite mods. Now, what makes them my favorite is really about how much effect you get for how much you spend. Of course, everybody knows you can spend a lot of money on any car, not just a BMW. But do you have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of effect? Not necessarily. So these 5 mods, in my opinion, are relatively inexpensive for how it makes the car look. So let's get right into it. My number 1 favorite mod. Now, every mod that I go through, I don't know. There's people that are gonna watch this in different states. Some of the mods may not be legal in the state where you live, and if you have to do annual inspections or things of that nature, find out before you do them because it could be a little bit of a headache and a hassle going back to OEM or stock. And I don't want to suggest anybody break any local laws. But the number 1 mod is probably, if you have an annual inspection, could cause an issue. But it makes the car look so good. And that's changing the reflectors. So you know, on every US car, on the front side corners of the bumpers, there has to be an orange reflector. In a BMW, it's actually in the bumper or a part of the bumper. And at the rear of every US car, there has to be a red reflector. And the same thing on the BMW, on the F80 and the F82 with the M3 and M4, they happen to be in the bumper. Now, this is not a commercial for IND distributors, but they have some of the best stuff for the best price for almost every mod that I'm gonna list. That's where I got my mods from, and as you can see, I'll drop a little bit in here of what it actually looks like on the car. Now, it's a small thing, but again, for 30 bucks, I think it was for the front, and I'll put the prices in here, and I believe it was like, I think it was 90 on the front, 30 on the back, whatever it was. It's relatively inexpensive, and they paint match pretty much every regular color for BMWs. Now, if you have an individual color, I'm not sure. They may carry those too, but I know they have all the general stuff, the things that you can just go to a dealership and buy. They carry all that stuff. And if you're worried about the paint matching, don't worry. Everybody I've seen that got it from IND distributors, it looks perfect. All it is, it takes 15 minutes and some 3M tape for the front, and it probably takes less than 15 minutes. And I actually used, I should do a how-to video, but I used like a pry tool set that keeps from scratching your car. You put a little tape on it. On the back, it takes less than 2 minutes, and you just pop them in. It really cleans up the way the car looks. That's my number 1 favorite mod. My number 2 favorite mod is even cheesier and less expensive. The BMWs, they come with start buttons, and they come with an M1 and M2 function button on the steering wheel. They come in a normal graphite gray or black or whatever. I'm not sure what the OEM color is, but you can change those to red. Now, I believe in some of the compacts, maybe the GTS, some of the newer models, they come red, but in my base model 2015, it's the old stock black. So if you get into a 325i or whatever it is, the lowest spec one you get, I have the same thing. That is, IND distributors, again, has these red buttons, and they're really high quality. So in my previous BMW, the button actually wore some. This takes care of that. You replace it, and they give you like this two-part epoxy. You rub it together, you stick it on there, you pop your start button off, and you just snap the new one on. Same thing with the M1 and M2 buttons. I actually haven't even ordered the M1 and M2 buttons, and they're like 20 bucks. I need to do it. It drastically it makes the car look newer and fresher in the interior, and it's extremely inexpensive. That's why it's my number 2 favorite mod. My number 3 favorite mod is actually kind of all over the car. Again, if you don't have a compact, if you're like me and you got the base model, that means you got a lot of what OEM car makers call Brightwork. So we used to call it chrome. I'm old. You going chrome. We used to call it de-chroming the car. Well, nobody uses chrome. No manufacturer uses chrome. It's plastic that has some sort of coating on it, and that ain't chrome. It's just paint or latex, whatever it is. Anyway, again, IND Distributors, and there's a few other people that make this stuff, or you can go to Direct to Auto Technique, and I'll put the links to all of these items in the descriptions. As you guys know, I'm not sponsored, but I just want people to see what you can get for relatively inexpensive to make your BMW look cleaner, especially your M3 or M4. One of the things that cleans it up is getting rid of all of that Brightwork. So there's three main areas where I focused on getting rid of the Brightwork. The number one place are the kidney grills. If you're on any forum, any Facebook, they're gonna clown you for having chrome grills. I say chrome, having the Brightwork on your grills. Get rid of it. You can get carbon fiber, and those are actually a little bit more on the high end, or you can get just the regular gloss black ones like I got. Really inexpensive. Again, 3-minute install. Gotta watch the clips. You don't want to break them, but you just reach, open the hood, pop the clips, and snap the new ones in. You're done. And again, I'll link the prices and links in the description below. The next thing you want to do are these fender markers, actually. And what I did is I actually went with a carbon fiber fender marker, which is more expensive. Again, it's a side marker. You can just do gloss black, or you can do a matte black, kind of like the comp packs come. The last piece that I did, and I suggest, is the actual trunk label. So, the badge, I should say. It's really funny. You see all of the non-M cars debadge, right? But the M owners are happy to have an M, so of course they might leave the badge, but get rid of the Brightwork badge. And again, you can go with the two OEM look ones. You can do the gloss black or do the matte black. If you're gonna do one or the other, I would do all of them the same, right? I think it's okay for your badge to be, matte or gloss while you have a carbon fiber kidney grill or a carbon fiber fender side marker. I just don't think you should mismatch the matte and the gloss. That's just my opinion. Do what you want to do with your car. Again, my number 3 mod really cleans the car up and it looks amazing. So really that can be my top 5, but kind of old school de-chroming or getting rid of all the Brightwork. For me, I did it all in pieces. And the same thing I did with my reflectors. I did it in pieces. Like, I like the red rear reflectors. I liked how the red tail light looked on my mineral gray, and I like the red. I just took a risk and got the paint match reflector, and I put it in there. I was like, yeah, I was stupid. That red looks terrible. The next mod is not necessary, and it's a little bit more on the high end. So hopefully those first ones, and you know what, I'm going to call these next 2 honorable mentions. They absolutely aren't necessary. They are some of my favorite mods, but they are a little bit more pricey. I think everything that I just did before, I had it on my phone. I think you could probably spend $500 for all of that stuff, and it makes your car look, I'm not going to say completely different. I don't want to exaggerate. It really keeps the car aging well, right? That Brightwork just looks cheesy because it is, and when you go to that matte or gloss black, it really makes the car look cleaner. The next one I'm going to talk about is the exhaust. Now, there's a lot of people on BMWs, especially these platforms, that go to a catless downpipe. Feel free to get in the comments below and argue over if you need catless downpipes. You don't. It is a waste of money, and you're actually, in the state of Texas and many other states, you can't pass emissions. You do not get any performance gains. You do not get any performance gains. There are some of the fastest BMWs on stock turbos that are running stock downpipes. You do not. They are high flow downpipes. You do not need to change your downpipes. Please be clear. And feel free to challenge me. I know it's a fact. I run a catless downpipe because I have a larger turbo, and it's necessary with a larger turbo, but it's not with stock. So if you're not changing your turbos, keep the stock downpipes. You don't want to have to deal with inspection and all that nonsense and having to check engine light and have to run a tune. And burbles are going to be like bell bottoms. I think burbles are going to go out. The VQ guys have killed it, and I'm king burble. Some of the friends can verify it, but even I've taken the burbles off my car. It's just irritating, and it's one of those things you're like, it's cool for a second, but when you see like a 16-year-old doing it, you're like, what am I doing? It's stupid. So keep your stock downpipes. Change the mid pipe. There are 1,000 different mid pipes. I went with Active Auto Work. Active Auto Work actually has like a Gen 2 now. I have the Gen 1 where it's 2 into 1. I like the way it sounds. I heard they're doing an equal length, which is supposed to make it sound different and better in deep tone. I think you can get this one for like $600 now, $700. 2-3 years ago when I did mine, it was like $1,000 or $1,200. For the way it sounds, just get the mid pipe. Do not even get the axle back. I'm running Remus. If they would have sponsored me, I would sell you on the Remus. It sounds nice. Is it worth $3,000? No, absolutely not. Just get a mid pipe. Keep your stock exhaust. If you can find somebody that, like me, wasted their money on an axle back and they may be selling an MPE, it's probably worth $1,000, $1,500 to put an MPE, the titanium OEM one. They sound amazing. They sound better than my Remus. Side by side, I'm just heartbroken that I spent the amount of money that I did. I probably should have just kept the stock suitcase on there. Those things are probably my favorite mods. The last two that I'm going to mention, because I'm probably up to 10 now. The last two I'm going to mention, a kind of honorable mention. Change the exhaust tips. I did the Burger Motorsport. There are a lot of different exhaust tips out there. The factory ones just look terrible. It kind of like, I don't know what that angle cut is that they have on them. It just doesn't look good, especially if they're chrome. I don't care what color your car is. That's another Brightwork thing. Get rid of that Brightwork stuff. And there's a lot of different ones. I did Burger, and I'll link Burger below. I think Burger's a little pricey. You can get ones that are less expensive that are equally as nice. Completely change the look of the rear, and especially if you go with a aftermarket diffuser. The last thing is honorable mention. Burger Motorsports again has I think it's called a CAN bus, little OBD2 port deal, and it does a couple little goofy things. The one thing I liked is I was able to control the flap on my exhaust through this controller, and I'll put the link below. But basically, you just have this controlled on your stalk, and you can manually control when you want your exhaust valve open or close. You don't necessarily have to be in sport. I like the sound of my turbos, and I don't want to have to be at full throttle to hear them. So I like having that. It was like $200 when I bought it, and that was pretty cool. And it does some other stuff. It does, if you have stock headlights, you can brighten your halos with it too. I think factory, they're at 50% brightness. You can blindingly put them up to 100%, which I did, which looks really cool. It looks like you got a second set of headlights. And I think it turns your gas needle into a boost gauge, which I think is kind of cheesy, but it does that for $200. So that's my video of my 5 favorite mods, which are probably 10 mods. But like I said, all the links will be in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think I'm going to do an actual gag video. Everybody's done this video, but stay tuned for my next video. It's going to be something pretty fun that I do with the M4, and I'm probably going to be depressed after it, so I'm going to need you guys to click like. Hope you like this one. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace.